fantastic teams joining us here at Tour. One of them came through the French qualifiers, that was Instinct. We also had French Frogs. We never got to see their logo, but hopefully it will come out soon because it's just, there are no words. And of course we had G2. The French scene is a very strong one. These French players, they like to play with each other. We've got some major winners in the French scene, quite a few in fact. And we have Vitality, of course, who aren't with us this weekend, but I believe we're going to see them at Dallas in a couple of weeks' time. Why is the French scene so unique, Blair?
The unique thing about a French scene is the fact that they have so many good players, so many talented players who just don't seem to want to play with one another, and I don't know why. I mean, just bury the hatchet and make these teams, right? That sucks, because you look at the scene, these are like some of the most tenured, some of the most decorated players and teams that we have in the scene, in CSGO as a whole. We have major champions, you know, we have Vitality right now, we have G2, and I would like to see them do better. I think Vitality are the one shining star for French CS, so to speak, especially because of that one prodigy that is Zayu, of course, right? But keeping that aside, it's like, I don't know why, you know, I think there was Apex who had, I think it was a Twitch clip where someone asked him, so do you want to still play, why don't you play with Shox, or do you still want to play with Shox? It was like, not really, I respect him as a player, but I don't want to play with him ever again. And that just goes to show, this thing goes deep, and that is just so unfortunate. Maybe because, frankly, they are very emotional people.
They are, but it's such a shame because Shox and Apex won a major together. And actually, MBK, Happy, and Kiyoshima are all players who have won 2 majors. And Kiyoshima really is the only player who's kind of ventured outside into the wider world. But he's just left Cloud9, and we don't know where he's going next, Potter. Do you think he's going to come back to France?
You know, probably not. I would assume, since his English is much better than most of the French players. But I want to speak a little bit about G2. Earlier in the tournament, we spoke about French Frogs potentially being the strongest French team, which was so weird saying it out loud when you're comparing French Frogs to G2. But I gotta say, I am definitely impressed with G2. Not so much with their results, but more so with their tenacity. I think that's something that we have questioned in the past is how far can G2 go? What kind of G2 is going to show up today? And although it wasn't their strongest form, they've got another tournament in a couple weeks, and they performed pretty admirably 2 weeks ago. So hopefully this trend continues to go upwards for them, and they perform in DreamHack Dallas.
Well, I can think of no players better to describe the French scene than the French players themselves, so let's take a look.
The French scene was a really strong scene back when you could get away with more simplistic play and just riding individual talent. And that really is what French CS thrived on, you know, over the last few years. The problem is that nowadays you see teams rise up like an Astralis, like a team like what Ints most recently, where not only do they have strong individual players, but they also have a well-rounded game.
French Counter-Strike was always different. Like at the beginning of the CSGO was like NIP was dominating like first 2 years or 3 years, but on the final they always played against French team, you know, very games or Titan or LDLC.
I think this French CS is coming